Counter-Strike 2 is the latest chapter in a 25-year Counter-Strike story, and its existence is an actual Scooby-Doo mystery. No sprint, no ADS, no bloated seasonal drops, and there's the wild part, a player-driven skin economy. So how did refusing every trend make it bigger than ever? Recently, me and my best pal, who I refer to as Bushka, have gotten back into the CS grind space, and we've been having a blast, playing consistently for the past 2 months-ish. And on my way back from Madison, I'm thinking, hey, what's next? And I'm like, holy golden goose, it hit me. This game that me and Bushka have been playing, CS2, is an actual anomaly, an abnormality in the gaming sphere, and I absolutely wanted to talk about it. But to understand my claim, we gotta look at the history of it. So Counter-Strike is by all accounts an old mother trucking game. Once a Half-Life mod, now transformed into a 25-year behemoth and still going. And it's been through an incredibly interesting cycle. Like I said, it was originally a mod, and then it was 1.6, Condition 0, Source, Global Offensive, and now known as CS2. It did what Overwatch 2 did to Overwatch, but like 5 times. Hell, it even had a little time under the sun on console, which I never wanted to play, and I'm glad I never did. So now that we've looked at its roots, it's time to look at the namesake and idea for this video. How does CS2 defy normalities within the gaming sphere, while also breaking key metrics that define a successful game? Well, let's go one by one, in no particular order, because every single thing I'm about to mention could or would ruin the game if changed too drastically. So what didn't Counter-Strike do? First and foremost, it never caved into sprinting. Counter-Strike to this day never added a sprint mechanic, something that upset many fans when Halo did it. Counter-Strike also never added ADS, which, if you ask me, is one of the core pillars of Counter-Strike's identity. It's known for this style of gameplay. It's instantly recognizable, because that leads into my next point, the recoil. Lots of new people come into this game and are hit with the hard reality that no, you cannot aim your weapon, and this isn't, for the most part, a run and gun game, aka modern day Rainbow Six Siege. This is a game where the recoil or spray pattern is different for each weapon used, and it's a learning curve that lets the game stand on its own 2 legs in the genre. Now, staying on topic, one of the biggest and most surprising things that Counter-Strike does is, again, what it doesn't do. Counter-Strike is by all definitions a live service game, which I'm sure many people seem to forget or just choose not to lump into it with others, because even I forget and overlook that. But as most people are aware, most live service games need heaps of content to keep player engagement high. For most companies, this means dropping content at a minimum quarterly basis just to keep the game and company afloat. Not Counter-Strike though. This game, when put against its peers, arguably puts out the leanest updates ever, but more on that later. And before we dive deeper, I think it's important to visualize everything I just discussed, especially for those not aware with how the core game works. And don't worry vets, this will be quick. Let's skip the beginning of a CS game and jump into the 20%-ish and onward. Let's look at just one round from someone with a healthy eco. Yes, you need money to buy things. Right now, I'm playing CT side. Our objective is to defend sites A and B and to stop the T side from taking the site and planting the bomb. Because I have good eco, I'm going to pseudo calculate what I can and cannot buy. If you play the game long enough, you can just kind of come up with these thresholds in your head. Anyways, I know I have enough money to buy Kevlar and a helmet, and I know what kind of rifle I'd like to purchase too. And with the remaining money, I'm going to buy the util that I like using, and also keep in mind what util might be most effective for the site I'm going to defend. With that done, now we can finally play the game. Me and my team know our split, so we play sites and see where the T's go, where they plant, if they plant, how we can play trades, coordinate how we can peek at the same time, communicate on how to retake a site, and stay informed on what the strategy for the T's may be round after round. All that is included assuming you have a team. I'm lucky that I can actually find at least one buddy to play with. You know, sometimes we get a stack, but playing with friends makes a huge difference in the level of enjoyment. Anyways, game after game and round after round, eventually mastery sticks because the rules stay the same. Speaking of mastery, Counter-Strike has the typical skills that distinguish a bottom of the barrel scrub to a that guy might be cheating when you're above the like 20k mark. The skills I want to highlight are things like crosshair customization, something that's kind of cool and a unique feature to Counter-Strike. Another skill is econ literacy. That one's foundational. Another big one is utility setup, which is an essential for taking sites and setting yourself apart from an average team. The final and most important skill to discuss is recoil patterns and aim training. Many people, at least most people I know, mainly me, watched a video or two when it came to recoil control and looked specifically at the weapons they like to use. The most studied one for new players is the AK-47, a weapon with a notorious learning curve. The AK probably has one of the most egregious spray patterns, but also has the highest reward for good recoil control, and it's the only weapon in the game that can one-shot headshot. For many of you, the only weapon in the game that can one-shot headshot, only relegated to one team, might raise some red flags. But for me and a majority of the community, it doesn't. In fact, this is how it's been for the past, at least as long as I've played, which is over 10 years. Which brings me to my next point. Simplicity equals less balanced thrash. Something that plagues and affects other games heavily, even its own competitors. I mean, seriously, practically every game has monthly patch notes, nerfing X batch of guns, changing heroes A, B, C, reworking ability percentages. And from firsthand experience, those constant rebalances are kind of exhausting. And maybe not even just exhausting, but dare I say annoying? I mean, I get it. Sometimes something is completely broken, but the other side of that coin is just release it better? Is that a hot take? But in CS, minimalistic changes lead to healthier meta shifts. If you can even say that this game has meta shifts, the balancing of weapons is so concrete now that I personally can't even remember the last time they noticeably changed one of the weapons. Maybe it was the R8? With all that said, there's gotta be something I can say or show that helps reinforce and back my thesis. Minimal balancing adjustments, a steep learning curve, lean content drops, refusing to add modernity to this game shouldn't be successful. However, I mean, come on, how is this even possible? Look at these Steam numbers. It's breaking #1 daily. Hell, breaking isn't even the right word. It normally sits at #1 daily. Now look at Twitch. Dude, this has been a top 10 viewed category on Twitch since I downloaded it on my phone like 10 plus years ago. And it translates to YouTube too. I mean, seriously, look at these views. Millions upon millions. Now let's look at Steam's revenue and look at the in-person viewership. I mean, seriously, I was just telling my girlfriend the other day how absolutely not normal this is when looking at other high-profile video games. Stadiums filled to the brim, players and fans traveling to different countries. And all of these metrics are tough to use for comparison, but they may, and I say may so slightly, provide some correlation when it comes to other games. What do I mean by that? Well, it means context. And I just want to preface this by saying I'm not trying to dunk on these games that I'm going to show. I'm just trying to suggest the reason why other games may not see the same success. And that reason is kind of strange, but I think it's modern gaming, specifically modern gaming trends. It's things like content churn or endlessly pouring out a mix of subpar straight booty and occasionally good content. It's things like constant hero reworks or pounding my fist at the screen because I swear these guys obviously don't care about the player experience. And don't get me wrong, change is good, but it doesn't feel good playing against something that clearly wasn't tested. Or the biggest one for players like myself that's growing, heck, we're probably past the growing phase. I think we're like, please take it out back and shoot it now. But it's seasonal fatigue, something that's crept its way into almost every game, including CS-ish, but Counter-Strike barely does this seasonal stuff. It's weird the way they're doing it, to be honest, and not really worth going over. But anyways, Counter-Strike doesn't need seasonal content or big content drops because the content is the loop. And this is the secret sauce that every game needs to have before it takes off to the stars. And that's a gameplay loop. One that is so succulent, so refined, so tested, and most importantly, fun. Once you have that, you can move on to the rest of the game and just build things like maps and... Will you please talk about skins? Dude, didn't even see a single red in the Gamma 2 cases. Oh! Yes! There's one more mechanism behind the scene pulling the string in this game, arguably pulling all the strings. The market. The market and the skins within the market is something that probably won't ever be recreated again. The skins of this game is the true aspect that really brings the eyes in. Things like case unboxings, rare skin openings, the dollar amounts of these skins. And to much controversy, the skins market is now a staple in the identity of Counter-Strike. And if you're not familiar, each case has a standard layout of rarity, with blue being the lowest and yellow being the highest. And those colors usually translate into selling price, most of the time. If you know much about skins, then you'll instantly pick at what I said, and I know it's not true 100% of the time. See, some pinks sell for exorbitant amounts of money, same with purples and reds and so on. But the correlation between colors and price usually stays true. And this is where Valve is making their bank. See, people love to buy skins, and Valve gets a kickback on each sale. But more importantly, Valve is making it on cases. And the price on cases is kind of high. It typically costs money just to get a case, and that's assuming you're on one account and want to open more than one case a week, because you do get one free case per week. But on top of actually getting the case, there's a standard $2.50 plus tax to get a key to open the case. And you're most likely going to get garbage. But the appeal of opening a possible special rare item is what keeps people going. And did I forget to mention you can also sell these skins for real money? And that heavily contributes to the appeal. And with that said, this is probably a good segue into the where CS2 stumbles section. So let's look at that. I feel like the first and obvious point of criticism is how there is full tolerance for toxicity. And yes, I did say full tolerance. Like, I can't tell you how many games I tried to record for this background footage that got ruined because somebody was just typing, not even saying, but typing slurs into the chat. I mean, dude, I could go onto GitHub right now and find some like foundational skeleton code that you could use to detect bannable words. Another point of criticism is the insane amount of cheaters. It's ridiculous. And I get it, cheating is a forever thing. There's no real way to permanently ban someone if you know the tech behind it. There's always a way around. But like, come on, man. This is a billion-dollar company. And some of the cheats I see are so blatant that there's no excuse. Also, the new player perspective is pretty awful. Learning curve aside, being able to play Premier, having Premier status, player trust algorithms, and hell, just playing in those low rank lobbies, aka the most toxic of the toxic, is pretty bad. But despite this,
all of this just works.
Its design has been refined to a T. The mastery of the weapons, utility, and map placement keeps engagement and replayability high. The watchability is seemingly very good as these tourneys always pull views. And of course, there's the aspect of the game constantly updating like the market, the Premier map pool, and small things like animations. So yeah, that's it. I think Counter-Strike is a blueprint that others want to copy and not a lucky outlier. I mean, you can already see some modern competitors copying it. Things like weapon inspect animations and a pathetic excuse for a marketplace for skins. So yeah, those are the reasons why I think Counter-Strike has been so successful. I think that going against the grain and defying industry norms has actually worked in its favor heavily. Thanks for watching.